I'm trying to wait till these engines go by. Hold on. Okay, they're off in the distance now. Whew, that's the noise of the Metro Atlanta, boy. I just went and got me a 32-ounce drink. Man, this motherfucker's so good. I get high on soda like crack. That's why I'm fat, 'cause I like soda. Anyway, that high. At least it ain't cocaine. Shit. It could be worse. Anyway, I didn't come here to talk about that. My title today is Immigrants, Illegal Immigrants Need to Go Home to save themselves and everybody else a lot of trouble. It is not lost upon me that white supremacy is at work. No doubt about it. No doubt that white folks are scrambling because they are going extinct at crazy rates. The birth rate is low. The white women don't want the white man. And all the people of color are having children like crazy. And everywhere across the world, their numbers are going down and they're dying quickly. Yes, white people absolutely are set for extinction. It will happen soon, very soon. And my thing is, as a person who loves people of the earth, people of color, universally, I believe that we need to prepare for a world post cracker. That's what I'm going to say. We need to prepare for a world post cracker. And that means that we need to be teaching the mentality of self-preservation and self-love and upliftment and community and decency. We need to prepare for a world without borders, right? Because that can happen without them around. We can have societies that are based on commonality and nation states that don't have borders. We can have that. We can have a whole lot of shit when they're gone. And so my thinking is we need to prepare for a greater vision. It's inevitable. These people with all their rules and regulations and all their man-made bullshit and their crazy, weird, witchcraft science, all of that shit, biohazards and bombs and shit, that shit will be gone. That shit is made because of them. They are creators of it, and other people imitate making it as self-defense. When they're gone, we don't have use for any of these things. We really don't. We really don't. Imagine if it was just the Islamic world and the African world and the Asian world. We doing our own thing. The world could be different. Latino world, everything could be different. It could be totally different. These people kill, steal, and destroy. That's all they ever do. The United States of America is a country that has a policy of absolute violence and aggression. That's all they ever do. That's all they've ever done since they've been on the planet. And they have conditioned us, and we have to recondition and re-educate ourselves on the vision of what the world could look like without them. But until then, until we have a borderless country or countries, until we have communities that are based on commonality, until then, we have to deal with the situation at hand. And the situation at hand is that we have these rules and regulations that are affecting our daily lives. They're affecting how we move, how we can accomplish things, what is accessible to us. These things are real. We cannot escape them. This is part of real daily life. And for the next 3 years, this monkey, this orange orangutan, is let loose upon the world. Okay? Nobody can do anything about it. People have tried and failed. Let's be real. So with that being said, I have several reasons I'm saying this. And I think that it's important for us to talk out loud, to think out loud as people of color. Because as you can see, they are doing everything they can to affect social media, communications, person-to-person contact that's unfiltered. They are doing everything they can to ruin our collective and individual voices. So we need to use them while we can to share ideas, thoughts, um, and connect. Connect where we can. So this is the time. I can't say, 5 years from now that any of us will be able to upload our thoughts originally, unfiltered, on any platform. I can't say that. And the way it's going, it might not happen. So while we have the time, while the time is ripe, it is good for us to communicate our thoughts and say what we want to say. So I'm taking advantage of that right now. And what I'm thinking is not mean-spirited. Hear the wisdom of what I'm saying when I say that the immigrants would do everybody a favor, including themselves at this time. Illegal immigrants would do themselves a favor to just leave and leave peacefully. Again, white supremacy is at the root. It's the goal. It's the center. We know that. But be it as it is, we got to deal with it. We can't fantasize ourselves into a different reality. So one example of how this affects us is, I'll give a personal example. I was, keeping up on my local news and things like that. And I came across this information that DeKalb County, the county which I live in, has a commission. Okay, so we have like what you call a CEO, which is like a mayor. And then we have our board of commissioners. Okay, we have about 7 of them. And together they all run DeKalb County. DeKalb County is close to Atlanta, but it is not the city of Atlanta. We're separate. Then you have on the other side of Atlanta, you have Fulton County. They have their own situation similar. They have the CEO and they have a board of commissioners, which is like a city council. So it's like mayor and city council. They just got a different way of calling it something, But anyway, I come across this resolution that, our commissioners, our board of commissioners wants to promote. They want to promote the idea that ICE should stay out of DeKalb County, that they will not be coordinating or cooperating in any way with ICE, and they want ICE to immediately leave should they come upon this county. Now, this resolution was controversial, and it's controversial for several reasons. One reason why it's controversial is because while it is making a statement that represents some, it is making a statement that does not represent all. We have a significant portion in DeKalb County of people who are immigrants. Now, mind you, that doesn't mean they're illegal. We got plenty of legal immigrants here. We have refugee communities here who have gained citizenship. We're not talking about that. We're talking about specifically supporting illegal immigrants as a county resolution. And many people who don't believe that have something to say. I don't believe that we should send any resources or push up against ICE or any federal, agency in defense of illegal immigrants who are clearly in violation of laws, local, state, as well as United States federal laws. I don't see any reason why we need to take that stance. As citizens, as taxpayers of this county, I do not see why any of us should. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm one of those people in a crowd who believes that this resolution needs to be basically gotten rid of. DeKalb County doesn't need to have an anti-ICE resolution. Reason number 2, not only does it not represent everybody in the county, second of all, the risk that it puts our county at is not worth it. According to the Department of Justice, one of the things that you can do to place yourself on a list, and I have seen the list, it is a real list. There is a list called sanctuary cities and counties and jurisdictions. Once you get placed on that list, you can be denied federal funding. The amount of money that you would have to spend in order to go to court and wait and it would be a lot of pain, a lot of trouble, okay? Unnecessary trouble. that you might have to go through in order to fight the federal government because you have been designated as a state as a state, city, or county that has been de defunded. DeKalb County is huge. We have federal funding. We need every bit of federal funding we can get. And so this is the issue. The risk of losing federal funding in one of the largest counties, most highly populated counties. I think this is number 2. This is number 2. Fulton might be more. Fulton and the whole Southeast, Fulton and then DeKalb are the 2 most highest populated counties in the South. Okay? We can't lose money over this shit. No. We can't be designated a sanctuary city. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why that matters. Because Trump wants a response from black people. You understand? He wants to go to war with black people. I said white supremacy is at the root of all of this. It would make him no more happy than to be able to say, yeah, I got them niggas in Atlanta defunded. See, the target is still always going to be on our backs. They want black people to care so bad. And Atlanta, Fulton, and DeKalb counties would be full targets. There ain't going to be no passes. Should they pass that resolution that says they don't want ICE in this county, not going to cooperate, I promise you we'll end up on that damn list. We will become priority number 1 because we're predominantly black. And everybody knows Atlanta's Black Atlanta. And Trump would make sure he made an example out of Atlanta, Metro Atlanta. I call it Metro Atlanta. So DeKalb County, no, we don't need to do that. We don't need to just go out there and do that. Now, I mind you that I do believe that the person who created this resolution is a white man. Okay? And he is woke. I know him. He is woke. And white people who are woke, these white woke folk, they have the best intentions, y'all. They really do. They have the best intentions. But their intentions often are very halfway blindsided. You know? They don't see the full picture. They don't understand. They can't understand. They're operating from a place of privilege. So while you want to look woke and you want to look like you care about the immigrants, do understand you'd be throwing black folk under the bus in DeKalb County. Why? Because the federal funding that we're entitled to, that we enjoy, that we need, I might not personally benefit from any of those services or programs or any of that funding directly, but I guarantee you it's a whole lot of black people who do. It's a whole lot of black people who do. Don't hurt black people trying to help some immigrants on something you can't control anyway. You can't control ICE. This is a powerless effort to say something loud. That's all. So you want to take a few words and take a risk at being considered a sanctuary county just to look woke, despite it's going to hurt real black people. I ain't feeling that. I'm not feeling that at all. And I made my thoughts known, you know. And it's not us versus them. It's just a fact. I'm a taxpayer. Black folks are taxpayers. Black folks live here, been here, invested here, bought homes, got the kids in the school. This is home. This is locally home. And these other folk who don't belong here, we don't owe them anything. We don't owe them nothing. We don't owe them to stand up for them because they're not supposed to be here. They're not supposed to be. We don't owe them anything. And a matter of fact, it's kind of offensive when you think about it. They really don't care about us. They are willing to throw us under the bus. They're willing to allow us to lose funding. They're willing to allow us to put ourselves in harm's way. They're willing for us to lose money and resources for them to benefit. Do y'all see how selfish that is? A lot of people are not looking at that. That fuck you, pay me attitude. I'm here in your shit and I'm taking your resources and I'm going to keep taking. I ain't going home. That's a gangster level that nobody wants to see. The nerve and the audacity to be like, I'm here and I'm taking. And I'm going to keep taking. You're going to have to wrestle me down, pull me out, and deport me for me not to keep taking. That's some intensive, arrogant shit if you really think about it. Do you feel like you could go to somebody else's country and be like, I'm here, I'm getting free food, you're going to give it to me? I'm going to live here, I'm going to work here, I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do, and y'all going to have to hunt me down because I refuse to leave? I'm going to stay? I mean, name a country you think you could do that in, that you would want to do that in. You know, that's insane. And it's a dangerous energy if you think about it. It's like having somebody who's in your house and you tell them you're not welcome. I don't want you here as a guest. And they refuse to go. It's some same shit. That's some psycho shit. That's some real destructive, crazy energy. And the stuff that's going to come out of that. What you going to do when somebody tell you, I'm not leaving this house? I'm going to stay in your house. I ain't going nowhere. You understand? That's some violence provoking type shit to do. And that's what I'm saying. They would do themselves better to just go, to just leave. Because the violence that comes out of these two stances is explosive. And we've seen that. It's explosive. It leads to riots. It leads to burnt buildings. It leads to mobs. It leads to people being hung. It leads to people being dragged and choked and shot. It leads to war. It leads to police state. It leads to a lot of injustice in the world. So truly, honestly, if immigrants really, really cared about America, if they had any respect for American people and our dollars and our money and our resources, if they had any respect for us at all in this country, they would voluntarily leave. They don't have a right to be here. They don't have a right to take anything. They don't have it. They can't. That shit does not stand up in a court of law. You entered illegally and you refuse to leave. You cannot stand up in that. You have no legal standing at all. And that reason alone is the reason that they should go ahead and leave. We done had a white man and a white woman die. Countless Americans being put in jail. We're having people being accosted on the streets. Citizens and non-citizens. All of this stuff people are going through. We're uncomfortable. This reminds me of the whole trans situation, you know? The transgenders. Everybody got to adjust to live, using the bathroom with the same opposite sex pretending and cosplaying, right? It's the same shit. The mass has to adjust to the selfishness of a few. It's not right. It's not good. Now, another reason why this is a problem, these immigrants staying, what they don't realize is that they are feeding a machine. I told y'all it's going to be injustice and dirty, nasty work. They have created the deportation industrial prison complex. That's a real thing. That's some real shit. Let me explain what that means. I've been paying attention and doing some research over time, paying attention. So as soon as Trump got into office, I want to say it was about 3 days after he got into office, after he actually won the election. Do y'all know what exploded in the stock market investment? Y'all know what exploded? Pay prisons. Prisons for profit. Exploded. I'm talking about crazy. The value, people were buying stocks like crazy. The people who are inside, the insiders, that's Congress, all these politicians, they're invested. Y'all hear me? Don't be fooled by these Democrats and these Republicans. Don't be fooled now. They don't really want these motherfuckers to go. They don't really want them to go. You know what they want them to do? They want them to stay right here. They want them to keep raising hell. They want them to do all this shit because everybody's got an agenda. You understand? What they want them to do is end up in the paid prisons. Prisons for profit. There's a lot of investment. You see why the Democrats so quiet? A lot of them are invested in that. They all need these immigrants to be rounded up. And they need them to be put into detention centers. That's what they're calling it right now. They call them detention centers. No. These are not detention centers. They are creating a network of labor camps. Okay? They are creating a network of labor camps. And they are going to criminalize these people. And they are going to put them in jail. And these jails, they're going to get paid it's already happening. They're going to get paid $1 a day for 8 hours of labor. And they say 8 hours, but I have a feeling it's 12. It may be more. Who knows how much labor time they may end up spending, right? And it's all profit. At that point, it's all fucking profit. So what does that mean if it's all profit? That means investors are going to turn some serious money. That means corporations are going to use that labor once they get them established. They've tried to build all kinds of, there's a lot of funding here for this. Lots of funding for this. They want to put every illegal immigrant in a place where they cannot get out, where they are forced to work for free. You talking about bringing slavery back? This is the deportation prison industrial complex. Our politicians are deeply invested in this scheme. Trust me now. All these shifting and shaking and pretending and shit they're doing, just like they invested in COVID. Our Congress invested in COVID. Our elected officials invested in COVID. They wanted to see that shit through because they got paid. They're getting paid. And so what I'm saying is these immigrants, there's already, what's her name? She was talking about it yesterday. Oh, goodness, I forgot her name. But what she talked about was they got, convict leasing. They can have convict leasing programs. Those farmers don't have workers. They could take them same illegal immigrants who are in so-called detention centers. They're shipping them around. Y'all understand? They're shifting them around. They're not sending them on the plane within 2 to 3 days. That's not what's happening. They are using satellite locations like buses, like busing stations, kind of like that. And they are shifting them around. They're moving them around the country. So they may come into ICE custody in Atlanta. Next thing you know, they're in Louisiana. They stay in Louisiana for a little while. These people are undocumented. Their families don't know where they're going. They don't have a right to a lawyer. So we're talking about human trafficking here. This is an evil, evil country with a bunch of evil, evil people in our government. And they're shifting them from Louisiana. And from Louisiana, they might go to Kentucky, Louisville. And then they're dispersed out to these rural, right? Missouri, the breadbasket. And they're going to end up working on farms for free as slave labor. Undocumented people who are working for free in the United States. And it's a big investment. It's called the Deportation Industrial Complex, Prison Complex. The Deportation Prison Industrial Complex. They are going to take illegal immigrants and they are going to be nameless and numberless individuals. Notice that ICE is not giving public documentation for location. Where's your, at least we get that in the county jail, right? You can look up the person's name. Where are they at? Where they're located? Have they been, released? You can find all that information for a regular person in a regular jail. But when you get in ICE custody, there's no outward way to find out. There's no database. It could be with all this AI, couldn't it? They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know where people are. They supposed to put your ass on the plane within 5 days and deport your ass once you get into custody. That's what they're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be in a detention center more than 5 years. That's not what's happening. They move you from one detention center to another, and then there's a convict lease program. They're going to end up leasing. Eyes wide open. Trump even talked about it. You can come in the right way, he says. There's articles that say this shit. If you have a sponsor whose labor they want, who's a business. So what does that mean? Convict leasing program. These are not new things. White men don't make up new shit. They've been doing this shit to black people. Now they're going to do it to immigrants. They want a free labor force. Why? Because capitalism is going to cap. Okay? It's going to cap. And the only way you get a new revolution, right? A new infusion of money is the same thing that they started out with to become a superpower, which is free labor. They need free fucking labor. You know how much money and income you can generate? How much profit you can generate when you have human beings working for nothing? This is the way. And so that's what they're going to do. They're going to have all these undocumented people. They're shifting around the country. Their families don't know where they are. You're going to have whole series of children born into these systems. Undocumented kids. No name, no number, nobody knows. Separated. What happened to the last kids that was put in cages? Where they at? Where they at? Where them kids at? Nobody knows. Nobody tried to find out. And so these immigrants are doing themselves a disservice. They're going to end up in the prison industrial complex. And I guarantee you what's going to happen is once they get these places full, they're going to start at some point. They're going to say that they are going to give people probably something like 5 to 10 years of hard labor for criminally violating the laws, the federal government laws, by even having been caught here. Because they've been giving them chances. You think the government is nice when they say, hey, we're going to give you a free plane ticket, we'll give you $3,000. They're giving evidence that they have done everything they could to get you to leave, and you refuse. And so when you refuse to leave, it's going to come with the consequence. And that consequence is going to be hard labor. And after they get done dragging you, using you, no labor rights, no this, no that, working you like a fucking slave for little or nothing, this $1 a day is actually kind of kind, if you think about it. It's a cover, just to say we gave you something. They really want your ass to work for free. And so white folks and contractors, all these convict leasing, they're going to be doing all kind of work. They're going to be building buildings. Maybe the promise of a green card, the promise of a chance to stay in America. Who knows how they will bargain with these convicts, these new slaves. These new slaves. That's what we're going to call them, new slaves. They are trying to create a new slave class in America out of illegal immigrants. If these illegal immigrants had any fucking sense in their life, they would get the fuck out of America. Because the plan is laid. That $170 billion is not a joke. That shit is not a joke. They are investing in infrastructure for a new slave class in America. That's what they're doing. And our government, both sides, all of them, they are deeply invested. So if you don't believe me, go look at the for-profit prisons. I can't remember, there's 2 names of them. It's 2 names. I'll post it. But that's some real shit. And they're gonna separate people. And I don't understand, what is it about America that people love so much? This shit is not all that. It's not. It's not all that. People are throwing their children away, throwing their futures away. You know what I'm saying? Just to be here, to earn some money. People got to stop hating their home so bad. America is the great shit time. It's home for me, but it's hell for you. And these people are not going with dignity. They're going being dragged and hogtied. And not only that, it's making the American population, uneasy. We don't feel happy knowing that our own federal government is getting and gaining more and more rights to violate our privacy in the name of immigration regulation. We don't feel good knowing that, I saw a video, and this black man was approached at a gas station, a Quick Trip, matter of fact, and that's a popular gas station in Atlanta. And that made it real for me. I'm like watching this black man approach, and I said, how would I feel if my husband was being approached by ICE at the fucking gas pump? He's pumping gas at his own fucking car, minding his own fucking business, and this ICE agent goes up to a clearly black American man and asks him to provide documentation. I'm like, wow. You see, they're arrogant. They like, fuck you, pay me. They don't care that they are making situations and conditions that make it hostile for all Americans. They don't give a fuck. That's the part that people don't see over here cheering. Immigrants, protect the immigrants. These immigrants ain't trying to protect no Americans. They don't give a fuck about us. They don't care that we're uncomfortable. They don't care that our federal government now has an excuse to violate our privacy. To take steps that they had never been able to take before. To do the undoable. Now they're talking about they can come into people's homes. if they have a so-called some kind of bullshit ass warrant. It's not even real. Okay? These immigrants do not care that they are creating a hostile environment because they refuse to leave. They do not care about how that affects American culture. They don't care how that affects our freedom, our peace of mind. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. So that's what I don't get. Why all these people, we keep hollering, protect the immigrants? The immigrants ain't trying to protect the Americans. I ain't seen no immigrants come to say, hey, you guys, let's organize some money for that white girl who got killed. Ain't none of them say, hey, let's raise millions for her. No, not at all. That white man, that nurse that died, ain't nobody, no, not a dollar, not a word. They don't give a fuck. You over here worshiping a motherfucker that could give two fucks about you. And that's the insanity of it. That's the insanity of it. You got Americans literally ready to go to jail, ready to lose their life, ready to do all this stuff for a whole population that is here to take, and they don't give a fuck about you. Your ass go to jail on their behalf, they wouldn't give you one red cent because they didn't ask you to do it. People are voluntarily throwing themselves onto the sword. For what? For what? For you to fight for people who don't respect you. They don't respect your laws. They don't respect your country. They don't respect your tax dollars. They don't respect your resources. They're here to take. They're here to take. And the fact that they still stand here in their arrogance and refuse to leave is what really, really just cooks my cake. It cooks my cake. I cannot think of any situation or circumstance in which I would tell a people and their country, with all its laws, I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to take. And you can kiss my immigrant ass, my American immigrant ass. I ain't going nowhere. I don't have the arrogance in me to do that. I don't. Nor do I want to deal with the consequences of taking such a stance. So that's insane to me. So I can't say this. This is kind of the point of the video. It's coming local, you know. If you live somewhere, you have to wonder, you know, are my local politicians, are they going to take a stance that is putting me at a disadvantage as a taxpayer and a citizen? That's where I'm at right now. I do not want DeKalb County to make a resolution that says that they are not going to cooperate with ICE and ICE must leave DeKalb County and better leave people alone. I don't need them to do that and get us defunded. Because let me tell you who's going to be affected if something happens like that to DeKalb County or at Metro Atlanta. You know who's going to be affected? Black folks. So to take the side of some illegal immigrants, you would basically have to throw black folks, at least in the Metro Atlanta, under the bus. Because that funding could be what? Section 8 housing. Cut the federal funding. You hurting black people. You're not hurting immigrants. If they were to cut federal funding because of these so-called woke-ass resolutions against ICE, you might cut what? Child care. Federal funding. You might hurt scholarships. Department of Ed. You might hurt health care. Right? The arts, libraries. I mean, federal funding benefits everybody. Infrastructure, road. There are whole projects that could be thrown away. Millions of dollars for bridges that were going to be built and infrastructure that was going to be secured or new builds and all kind of shit. You're going to throw all of us away and everything that we're working for some illegal people who don't give a fuck about us? That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. Think about even the child care programs. Think about food stamps. I mean, I don't promote that. But what if our healthcare centers rely on that? HIV prevention. What if a lot of stuff is federally funded? How about our schools? Our Veterans Affairs. It's a whole bunch of shit. It's a whole bunch. We got a big VA hospital right here in DeKalb County. The CDC operates in DeKalb County. We got a whole heap of shit We got a lot of educational institutions in DeKalb County. We got Emory University. We got a whole bunch of them. If they were to cut federal funding in DeKalb County, they would hurt a lot of black people. A lot of black jobs. Over some illegal immigrants. That's not cool. It's not cool at all. People who don't belong, who don't have any standing legally. You're going to hurt black people. Majority black county. For what? So I am happy to say I went to that meeting yesterday. It was tedious. As many, municipal meetings are. They go on and on with their agendas and their Robert's rules and this and that. Do you pass this? Second the motion? Oh, God. Right? I went. And I made my voice known. And I got some responses from some commissioners. And some of them know me personally. And I was very happy to say that they decided to delay taking up that resolution. Now, some people would say, what does that mean, a delay? Well, delay means something stays in limbo. And, in government, a lot of times people leave stuff in limbo when they kind of know that shit ain't going to flow. When they already know it's going to be a hung jury and it's too controversial to touch. You just let that shit sit and sit and sit and sit. And you put it off indefinitely. I know something about that. In my work as an activist, I've had to deal with these bodies, I will call them. These bodies, these entities that don't want to deal with something because it forces them to take a stance. And the risk ain't worth it, It's not worth it. So that's what they do. They table it. They defer it. They put it off. Like dreams deferred, just put it off. And you put that shit off forever. Let it sit over there and fucking rot, okay? And then eventually people forget about it. It doesn't get on the agenda next time. And then the next time, and then nobody remembers it anymore. So that's what we're doing. We're playing a waited out game. So we got to let the woke people calm the fuck down. Okay? Let them quit paying attention. And then we can go on with business as usual. I want the death of that resolution, honestly. And I'm going to work towards that. I'm going to work towards that. Because we black. And we live here. And we pay taxes. And we own homes. And we are not about to throw ourselves into a risk factor of becoming a sanctuary county to save a whole bunch of fucking illegal immigrants who don't give a fuck about us. And then black people gotta suffer when we lose federal funding. You're crazy. Crazy as fuck. If you think that's gonna happen. Not over my fucking dead body. Not while I'm a goddamn citizen of DeKalb County. Not the fuck. No, the fuck it won't. If they know me, I would raise all kind of hell in this bitch. They know me. I will raise all kinds of hell in this bitch. Okay. And one of the things I need to mention, too, is that our Governor Kemp, as controversial as he is, Governor Kemp had already, last year, had the GBI train with ICE and Homeland Security. He is fully in support of doing everything he can to help ICE do their job safely. And that's what I would encourage any county to do. Open your fucking jails with them criminals that's already in there, that's undocumented, and let ICE have them. See how easy that is? You ain't got to go door to door fucking with people, approaching people at gas stations. They was doing that shit only in Minneapolis because they weren't getting any cooperation. If you go ahead and you allow them to do the targeted work they're supposed to do, they don't have to approach everyday Americans. That's the part people are missing too. If you cooperate and give them access to the jails and the people who are detained, who are illegal, and you feed ICE what they need, you don't have these problems. It doesn't spill out into your streets. And so we got to dispel some of this bullshit and these myths that they've been telling too. That ICE is just going out and just jumping on people. Minneapolis was an anomaly because Minneapolis acted like an ass. Now, the day they put their hands on an African American and deport an African American who is documented as such, oh, trust me, America will respond. Black America will respond. But until that motherfucking day, they can have whoever they want who's illegal. It is not my business. I'm eating popcorn and I'm staying home. And that's the other thing, too. We are on point, and I'm proud of us as a people. As black people, we're clear. We're real clear. They've ignored our cries, our pain, our complaints that we've had about the federal government, the local government, the state government, ignoring the blatant racism and the demonization of our race. They've been doing that. Oh, it's your fault. You don't comply. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. For the first time in forever, they are actually saying, nah, it's the nature of the motherfucking beast. It is the nature of the beast. It took for 2 white folk to die for people to see that there are people who are given badges and guns who are out of fucking control. We've been telling everybody, and nobody wanted to listen. Well, you listening now. And the fact that we don't put our black bodies and our black presence and our leadership on the line for none of these motherfuckers. The whole America is waking the whole fuck up. They're like, everybody's paranoid. Where the Negro? What happened to the blacks? What happened to the blacks? They can't understand. It's a phenomenon. It's an ancestral call. The ancestors are speaking through and to all of us. Stay your black ass out of it. And we are collectively listening. And I have to say this on the record before I go. Don Lemon was told by Joy, what's her name, Joy Reid, yesterday. And she did it so eloquently, like a sister could. She says to him, Donald Trump been wanting black faces. He's been wanting to blame insurrection on blackness and black people, the criminals of the culture, right? He's been wanting us to act up and burn something down so he could say, I had to declare martial law and pull out the Insurrection Act. I needed to do that. He needed to do that. And we refuse to participate in his pawn and be pawns in his game. We don't want to play. We're not going to play. And these white folks like Trump, they're beside themselves. But like Joy Reid told Don, basically he was off code. He thought he could go out there like he was white. He thought he had fame and name, and he could just go out there and do what he wanted. Yeah, okay. You see how that turned out for him. Don, you the only Negro that got caught up because you was off code. And Joy, she did a really good job. She said, and Don, Trump couldn't get what he wanted until he got your face. I said, oop, oh shit. She put it out there. And Don was like, you're right. I gave them the picture, the black face, the criminal face they was looking for. I said, yeah, Don, get on code, nigga. Stay your ass off the streets. You're not special. You're not some kind of new Negro. So, with that being said, I'm just glad that we're on code and we listening to our ancestors. And we understand it's self-preservation over everything. And if these people gave a fuck about us Americans, they would just go. They would go. And if they don't go, the consequences is going to be tough. They're going to end up in the undocumented human trafficking, deportation, prison industrial complex. They're going to be slaves for life. And that's a system where they're undocumented and there's no access. And it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. Their children going to end up in that shit, and they ain't going to have to let you loose. They going to say they dropped you off in Mexico 10 years ago, but ain't nobody seen you yet. Right? All that due process of law, the right to an attorney and paperwork and tracking and shit, family access, none of that's going to happen. If y'all don't believe me, this new slave class is going to come out of supposedly deported people who are undocumented, now stuck in as unknown and nameless faces, right? Nameless faces caught up in a prison industrial complex. People who were supposed to be deported, but now they are undocumented in a system that keeps them indefinitely with no rights. A new slave class. If I was them, I would take my motherfucking ass home. Because that's some shit I would not want to fuck with. New slavery. Ashe.